I never thought I'd see the day when the Canadian real estate market essentially hit pause. And that's where we're at right now. Where do we go from here with markets like Ontario and Quebec essentially putting a halt to the real estate market by stopping showings, notaries, land titles, all that? What the heck happens next? How about banks pulling mortgages because buyers have now been laid off? They can't take possession of the house because they can't have their mortgage funded. In some cases, new application interest rates are going up like crazy. Or those deferred payments that the banks are allowing you to do, they're even charging interest on those for those missed payments that you aren't making. We've got all that and a whole bunch more on this episode of Prairie Real Estate. Hey guys, I'm Matthew Pfeiffer, and welcome back to another special edition, quarantine edition of Prairie Real Estate. But before I go and deliver this bad dad joke next, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's right here. I know you haven't clicked it yet. I can wait. Okay, so why do melons have such big weddings? Well, it's because they cantaloupe. Okay, cantaloupe is one of my favorite fruits. Now every time I eat a cantaloupe, I'm going to think of that terrible joke. And you are too. So we're going to go over 5 big topics today. And at the end, we're going to find out what the heck's going on with Canadian real estate and how do we go forward from here. So let's start off by talking about what's going on in Ontario and Quebec. Both those provinces just passed essential services legislation, really restricting what businesses can and cannot operate. So unless you're on the essential services list, they're shutting you down. Quebec was the most restrictive of that. March 23rd, which was yesterday, they said anything that wasn't on the essential services list was shut down. And that put a little bit of shock in the real estate market because both notaries and land titles were put on the non-essential list, meaning they couldn't operate. So if you had a possession upcoming the next couple of weeks, you couldn't actually take possession of your house because the notary couldn't sign everything over and land titles wasn't gonna be processing any paperwork. Now, March 24th today, they decided they're gonna walk back that decision and they are gonna allow that to continue. But they're being very restrictive of what you can do for showings. And as a real estate agent, really you can't conduct any showings. If you have a property for sale, you as the seller can walk a buyer through the property doing like a FaceTime call or a Zoom meeting, but there'll be no in-person showings allowed. The seller's agent isn't even allowed to go through the property. So it's definitely reduced the ability to show properties. Ontario has been a little bit more relaxed on that. They're still allowing people to go through properties, but they're definitely restricting how many people can come through. They're preferring to have just the selling agent or just the buyer's agent go through the property. So what we're seeing right now is definitely a reduction in the number of requests for showings. That's a significant slowdown, kind of getting to this point where we're all on a pause for showings and real estate activity. Those deals that have already closed will continue to close, but new stuff, that's all on hold right now. I've grouped the next 2 topics together because they're kind of important to have them both together. And that's talking about mortgage approvals and those deferred payments that are being allowed to happen right now. So first off, let's talk about mortgage approvals. Right now, a lot of banks are saying, hey, you've been laid off and you have no return to work date yet, they're not going to approve that mortgage anymore. And this is really impactful for those people that have possessions upcoming when they're supposed to be funding that mortgage in a couple of weeks. And all of a sudden the bank looks back at the paperwork and says, no, you've been laid off. Sorry, we're not going to fund the mortgage. That's causing a real stress on buyers because now they have to go find alternate lending, sometimes at higher interest rates than they were planning on paying. So that's been very difficult. We're gonna have to work through that on kind of a case-by-case basis and see where that goes. Then the next thing is those deferred payments that the banks are allowing you to do, read the fine print. Some banks are charging interest on those payments that you're not making. So you're still paying interest on payments, but you're not actually paying any principal down. When you go back to regular payment schedule, you're gonna see a huge interest payment get tacked onto that. So read the fine print there because you don't wanna get caught. Some banks are doing this, but not all of them. So make sure you look through that you're not gonna be paying those interest payments, or if you are, you at least know about it and don't get surprised in the end. So Matthew, is there actually any good news today? Yeah, there is actually. These stress tests came down a little bit. It was at 5.19%, now it's dropped to 5.04%. That's that benchmark rate you have to qualify on when you're looking to buy a home. Now that it's a little bit lower, that allows buyers to spend a little bit more money. But interest rates, which were rocking and rolling in terms of how low they were about a week ago, we were seeing 2.35%. That's now back up to 2.95, somewhere in that range right now. It looks like banks are just not willing to take the risk any longer on those 5-year fixed rates. So if you did lock in that rate at 2.35, you got a smoking deal. Stick with that. Extend that as long as you can, because I don't think we're going to see rates like that anytime soon. That was kind of a short window you could get something like that, and if you took advantage of it, good on you. You got yourself a great rate. It's really going to reduce what your payments are going to be overall. So glad you took advantage of that. If you didn't, 2.95 is still really good. If you can jump on and get a rate hold on that right now, I would still do that as well. Where does that leave us? Where are we going from here? What's going on with prices? Is it a good time to buy? I think right now it's too early to answer any of those questions. I don't believe there's ever been a time where the real estate market has been completely put on ice and everything just stopped. So let's just wait this out. We'll have more information the next couple of weeks as to what's going to happen going forward. In the meantime though, please follow the health directives for your specific region. The faster we can stop the spread of this, the sooner we can return to normal business and all that social interaction that we're all missing. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please be safe out there. This is Prairie Real Estate.